Story 1. Idea for ditching a wedding that I f20 was the maid of honor in because the bride f22 tried to set me up with the best man m28. I was supposed to be the maid of honor at a wedding a few weeks ago. I ended up just leaving and going home to my boyfriend of 6 years after the bride and groom tried to set me up with the best man. When my friend got engaged last year, I was excited for her and even more excited when she asked me to be the maid of honor. As invites went out, though, she asked me to not bring my boyfriend to the wedding. I was really upset about that, but my boyfriend talked me down, telling me that weddings were expensive and they were probably trying to keep the guest list down, and they didn't really know him, so it would be fine for me to go without him. That made sense to me, so I didn't say or do anything after that and just continued with helping as I could as the maid of honor. Nothing else really concerning happened again until a couple of days before the wedding. The bride asked me to give the best man a ride to and from the wedding, which was about a 4 hours drive. I thought it was just part of it as he was a veteran and had his own issues surrounding that. So I gave him a ride up to the Airbnb that we were staying at before the wedding. The whole time he tried to make conversation that was just weird to me, and I was just not into it and just trying to my best to be nice to him. At the Airbnb with everyone, I immediately noticed things were off. All of the other bridesmaids had their boyfriends there, and things were really awkward when I found out I was in a room with the best man. The next day before the rehearsal dinner, the bride and groom cornered me in a room to say that the best man was an incredible guy and that I was blowing him off without really giving him a chance. I told him, well, of course not, I have a serious long-term boyfriend, which y'all specifically told me not to bring. Then the bride cut in and told me, well, that really isn't that serious since he hasn't proposed in so long. I argued back that was because we were both still in school. We continued arguing for a little while before I finally just said, forget, I'm going home. I got called all sorts of awful names going out of the room and packed up and left. I got a lot of calls on the way home, which I ignored until my boyfriend called. Apparently, the bride called him and told him I just left for no reason, and he called to check in on me. I told him everything that had happened, and he was kind of dumbstruck by it all. Anyways, after the wedding, I've had the bride, the groom, and a lot of their friends call or message me telling how horrible of a person I was for just leaving the night before the wedding for no reason. None of which were receptive to my side of things, and it's starting to worry me that maybe I overreacted by just leaving like that. Anyway, AITA TLDR left a wedding because the couple to be were mad I wasn't giving ING the best man a chance, even though I've been with someone else since I was 14. Edit, I started dating my BF in high school. He's 2 years older than me. My friends don't really know my BF since he doesn't go to the same school as us, and when we do see each other, it's usually halfway between our schools. Quiet Celery 7850 says, all the other bridesmaids had their boyfriends there, and things were really awkward when I found out I was in a room with the best man. They had you sharing a room with a stranger? You were supposed to sleep there, shower there, get dressed there? Is the best man the groom's best friend? Did they have fantasies of you marrying him, buying a home next door to them, and raising your children together? NTA Dinafeli says, no reason? I'm sorry to say, whoever you heard that from lied to you. The reason I left is that the bride attempted to force me to share a room with a man other than my boyfriend, repeatedly insulted me and my relationship, and made me feel generally unsafe and disrespected. I was so devastated. I thought she asked me to be her MOH because she thought of me as a close friend, but now it seems like she only did it to attempt to force me into a sexual relationship with a practical stranger. Intia. The bride literally doesn't care about your feelings, so you weren't really her MOH, just a prop she was using to further some other goal. Without knowing more about the situation, I can't be sure whether it was because she was prioritizing the best man over you, or whether it's because she genuinely believes your boyfriend is bad for you, and therefore was just trying to replace him with anyone else. But either way, that is a completely unacceptable way to treat another person. Her behavior would have been appalling if you had been a stranger. The ahishness is off the charts and she was supposedly your friend. Anyone who can't see that either doesn't know the whole story or else is proving themselves to be an as well. Fianna9 says, NTA, this is so bizarre and I feel bad for the poor best man who probably has no idea Op has a boyfriend. But even if she was single, and it was a legitimate setup, I find is so creepy that OP was expected to share a room with a man she doesn't know, and she wasn't even told about it first. There is also a pretty decent age gap to set a 20-year-old up with a 28-year-old without even telling her it's a setup. And it's hardly shocking that the BF hasn't proposed. 6 years is a long time to be dating, except they would have started going out as kids. They are still young and starting their lives together. Marriage could be years off. Story 2. AITA for refusing to change my unborn daughter's name. For context, my brother 34M and his girlfriend 28F have been together for 8 months, and my brother has admitted it's already getting a bit rocky and he's debating leaving her. After a few months of trying, me 27F and my husband 28M are pregnant with our first baby. I am 20 weeks along and have been very unsure about a name for our baby girl until 2 weeks ago. At first, we were hesitant about being public about the name as I know disagreements can occur. I won't lie, it's a pretty basic name, but it's his late grandmother's name and a name I had always liked, so we went with it. Just a bit more context, my husband lost his mom at 8 years old and his father was never really present, so his grandmother became his caregiver and a massive part in his life. We started dating at 14, 15, and from the start I was open about my home life not being the best and she welcomed me in her home whenever I needed. She was also a massive part of my life and helped me get through my abusive parents now on better terms and bullying, so we always had a good relationship. So this wasn't just a name I was going with for my husband, we both loved the idea of our baby girl to take the name of her great-grandmother and to wear it in honor of her. After we announced the name, my brother's girlfriend flipped. She stated that was her late daughter's name from a different man, not my brother, so I had no idea that was her name. My brother just informed us her daughter had passed last year and to be careful on those sorts of topics around her, but the name was never brought up. She immediately demanded we change the name and said the baby wouldn't care. I explained it was also in honor of husband's late grandmother, and it had real meaning to us and we didn't want to change it, but she insisted she couldn't hear her daughter's name, especially not on another child. I understand it must be so hard, but the name has meaning to us, and if I'm being honest, if she was genuinely a part of my family, I may have considered, but my brother wasn't sure if they were forever. I offered for them to come up with a nickname we use around her if she desperately didn't want to hear the name, but she refused and said she doesn't care about whose grandmother is dead. She had it coming, but her daughter still had her whole life ahead of her and called me an inconsiderate cow. My brother broke up with her on the spot, and now all my friends are saying I took it too far, but I really don't see how. So AITA? Edit, some people believe this story is fake due to me, including my friends randomly at the end, but these three girls were my closest friends, and we have very similar opinions and have always told each other everything. My brother GF had gone and told the man other people apparently, but no one else has contacted me. I knew the name and did it in spite of her. Obviously that's not true, and I didn't include it before as I didn't want the story to be too long. Svensson_26 says, NTA, I get why she is upset, but she can't demand that of you. If you're not even close enough to her to know the name of her late daughter, then that's far enough of a separation that she can't tell you what to do. It would be a different story if her daughter's name was a unique name, and that you only decided on it after hearing it from her. But that's completely not the case here. Gorgades says, NTA, I lost my first child when she was 7 months old. I was sensitive about family using her name, but never demanded anything. Nobody owns a name. I have a cousin that gave her daughter as a middle name and asked me. Of course, I gave my blessing. You didn't know her daughter. Y'all aren't family. I personally don't think you did anything wrong. RB1327 says, my brother broke up with her on the spot. There's no current conflict to judge. The problem has resolved itself. Thanks for watching. I love you. Follow Reddit Echoes for more.